Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Distance Dilemma podcast. My name is Sean Nyman, Dublin, Ireland. This is Imran. He is in Thun, Switzerland. Welcome to our long distance friendship podcast. This is episode number 28. Imran, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. It's only been a couple of days since the previous podcast, which is, I have to say, listening back to it was probably our juiciest. So if anyone who is listening to this now, go back and watch the previous one.
Yeah, I have to say, the last episode was probably my favorite episode that we've done so far.
Yeah, in terms of
like you said, it
juiciness,
was just really juicy, but also I think the stuff that we brought up was also it was really interesting to talk about, and I kind of said it in that episode as well, but I think the core of the podcast stems from a lot of the stuff that we did speak about, not
definitely
immigration, but the issues that are in Ireland at the moment, and the reasons why people are moving away, like yourself, and that kind of is why the podcast is a thing, because we're doing this to kind of keep something going in our friendship, so I really liked that kind of element to it as well.
Yeah, it kind of adds to the story, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's not the full background to what the podcast is about, but it definitely adds to the story or the idea of distance.
Lore,
the lore of the distance. Yes.
But even listening back to it, it was because every week when I do the clips, I'm sure you do as well, listen back to the podcast, but
Yeah,
I don't listen to it on Spotify. I listen back to it doing the clips,
through the videos,
which often means I'm listening to the podcast 2 or 3 times before it actually is. But other than just listening to it once in Spotify, because I'm just going over bits and stuff. And it was probably the first time where I was itching to watch the whole thing in one bulk, and it was just it was a really fun one to listen back on. All of them are but sometimes when you're watching the same thing 3 or 4 times,
over and over again,
it can get, but it didn't get like that at all. It was the first time where I was really wanting to rewatch bits and really take in what I was probably making sure that we didn't get ourselves cancelled by saying something saying something
with the culture now. I have to say though, watching it back though, you were able to alliterate your points very well, and a lot of people had said that to me, people here in Switzerland that had watched the podcast, they were very impressed by the way you vocalized how you felt about certain issues that we were talking about. So give yourself a little pat on the back there.
Thank you very much. That's I was kind of scared that I would phrase something the wrong way, or afraid of how it could be picked up the wrong way, because you only have to look at the situation with that Garen Noon fella a few weeks ago, where he talked, he again whatever about what he said, whatever you think about what he said, but the bulk of the problem was how he communicated what he said. He didn't properly articulate himself, so I was kind of aware of that. Now, not that we have millions of people watching us like Garen does, and we're not going to have the same effect by saying something like what he said, but still worth noting.
No, it isn't.
I'm glad that I'm really happy to hear that it came across really well, and thank you very much to anybody who was impressed by my vocalization of the topic.
No, definitely though, and I think when we were talking about the last 2 podcasts that we've recorded, it's not been looking at things from a negative aspect in sense of that we're trying to condemn onto people these views that what we feel. We're just trying to highlight and make awareness of things that we know are right. This is not a right-wing, left-wing political debate. This is not what we were trying to do. We were just trying to say our opinions on what we think is right, and that we want to make more awareness and highlight issues that we think that people in Ireland should talk about, which I think a lot of people don't. This is really funny because it sounds like that Jaden Smith meme where it's we just need to talk about the political state of the universe. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Yeah. I don't want to drive around cars with my friends. That's literally what we sound like the past 2 weeks. But yeah. But I mean, again, that's away from the political debate for another week. But that's kind of what
I think some people are actually itching for us to talk about football or something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, has there been that going on in your week? Or I suppose it's only been 5 days since we last spoke.
Yeah, I've just been, I've been trying to, it's funny because you talked about 2 or 3 weeks ago about finding yourself waking up and being in the same day, which I've been kind of like experiencing the past week, where it's just every day is a bit of a routine. So I'm trying to like now for like future weeks, especially because me and you are both big on diary writing as well and like planning ahead. Like I'm trying to make more things to look forward to each month with Nicola or with people in advance, so that I have something to look forward to, so that my days don't feel as mundane, I suppose. That's the way I'm trying to say it. Yeah, it's mundane. Yeah. So I don't know. That's my own thing though.
I had like the opposite thing happen to me a couple of months ago, where like I felt like I actually needed to like stop. Not like I was having the same thing of like the routine and the mundane sort of thing, but I was actually filling my time up too much with stuff like that, and I wasn't kind of like letting myself breathe a lot. Like I talked about it a bit. I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast before, but like it was especially like after my mom's funeral, where like I had a lot of people for like, and like this isn't me like saying that I'm bad about these people, but like everyone was like on me, looking to me up and checking in and like try and be nice, and it was like lovely, and it was like it's such like it's a lovely problem to have, I suppose. But like I was like at a point where like I was like doing something 5-6 days a week, like because I'd have rehearsals with the band, I'd go and play football, I'd meet 2 or 3 of my friends a week, and then like that's not even counts if we have a gig that week. Like it was a lot of people that like I used to work with in old jobs, and people I went to college with, people I went to school with, and stuff like that. Like and it was lovely, but like I did get to a stage there where like I kind of burnt myself out a little bit.
Yeah, which is very easy to do.
Yeah. Like it's got like obviously I live with Simone, like but like I went through a phase where like I only saw Simone twice in 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, it's funny because like you actually see them less.
Yeah. And like because as well, like because Simone, a lot of these guys were people like I knew well before I met Simone, so it's not that Simone wasn't invited, but like it was kind of like not the kind of, especially when you're coming to talk about something so heavy, and Simone is around me obviously so much in the aftermath of that, like it's not particularly something she's like jumping to be like, oh, let's go out and like tell the same story again, like because I felt I really was it was, but the thing I kind of got into a stage like I was a broken record, like saying the same thing to everybody each time, like
it's kind of hard though, like what are you meant to say in them situations? Like there's no script or peripheral thing for you to say, it just keeps coming around. Like I think especially as well, we met up, I unfortunately wasn't able to make Sean's mom's funeral at the time just because of the circumstances we were away. I don't have to go into it. Sean knows very much our situation, but
the funeral was in Blanche. Imran was in Switzerland.
Yeah.
I saw him a week later.
Yeah, I came back a week later. I'd already planned coming back, so we went for food. But even when we were sitting down, it was kind of like Sean was saying, like this. It was the same conversations being had. Like obviously, like I had known because Sean had rung me when the whole process of it was happening. But it's funny, like when we were sitting down talking in the cafe, like he said that he's had the same conversation like 15 times, and I think a lot of people experience that probably with death as well when they're talking to friends and family about it, especially as you're a bit older, because it's not as much as like when you're a bit younger. You probably have more people like sending you messages or letters, or like people coming around to the house, where you're probably like you're having like old friends kind of talking to you and stuff. This would have been a perfect segue to go into the topic, but we're only 10 minutes into the podcast. Literally. That's funny how it looks, but what about like
it's important to find a balance for that sort of. Sorry, I did you just cut you off?
No, it's okay. Do you think it's hard though to find a balance, like in terms of like adult life, when you have so much things like bills and like finances and saving and spending time with your partner and all these different things? Do you think it's a lot harder as you get older, or what do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Like it's also like based on your circumstances and what you have. Like even like one of the things that I've loved about living with Simone is like I now don't have to choose whether I see Simone on a day or not. Like whereas like when I lived in my grandparents' house, like if I wanted to for example, like say I was meeting up with people that I went to college with or went to school with or whatever, I would be doing that and I wouldn't be seeing Simone that day. Whereas like now I get to wake up next to Simone and I get to go to sleep next to Simone, and like even at that, if I'm not meeting somebody till 7, because I'm quite close to town now, Simone's usually home from work before I go out the door, so I get to see her for an hour, half an hour, then leave. It's not like, I love that, like, I don't have to pick between, like, seeing my partner and like doing somebody else. No, that's not what I meant. Or like,
Seriously,
like, going and like seeing somebody else, or like even like things like rehearsals, like like it's lovely to come back, because when you're rehearsing in a band, like you come home on such a massive high, because it's just the coolest thing ever being in a band.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, lads, if you can do it, it's class. And like I always like come home, and I used to like go home when I lived in my last house with my grandparents, and like it was still exciting, like, but you'd be like texting and going, oh my god, this happened, and haha, this is very funny, blah, blah, blah. Like, and like you'd be awake because you'd have a bit of adrenaline and stuff, but it's nice to come home and just like be able to sit there and like actually just chat about it properly, like, that's one of the things that I love about it, is like,
I think it's the little conversations as well that you have, or you're not expecting to sit down and spend time with each other, but like, for example, like last night I came home from work late, I showered, I had grabbed a little bit of food like that was in the kitchen, I didn't have dinner, and we sat on the couch. I mean, and we ended up just talking. Like, Nicola probably should have been in bed like 2 hours before, but we were just sitting there, and like conversation was just flowing back and forth, and we were laughing and stuff. Like, but we were saying like how nice it is just for it to like naturally, like, no planning with stuff like that, where you actually get to spend time with each other. Where it's not like, oh, let's spend time with each other from 8 to 10 or stuff like that. It's not like structured. And like you're saying there, like if Nicola's going out to the house to meet a friend, or I'm doing the same, it's not like, oh, I have to worry about is she okay and all that kind of stuff, because you've planned it between each other, so it's kind of nice, that aspect of it.
It's great. Honestly,
get yourself a girlfriend, lads, if you can.
Honestly, a
girlfriend. If you can, move in.
Pro life tip: get a girlfriend. And like your job and stuff. I'm really lucky. Like, I was only talking to Simone about this yesterday, because we were talking about like just life, how life has been recently, like, because I've been feeling a bit number recently about kind of the whole process, because I was in therapy up until only a few weeks ago, and like I finished my therapy, like I didn't get a little cert from Microsoft Word.
Did you get a little coin?
No, I didn't. No.
I'm joking.
Didn't get on. But yeah, I finished that, and just since then, like, I've been feeling a little numb, not depressed, but like, I've just been feeling my feelings a little bit more, and because like I was using therapy as like a kind of like trauma outlet for a while, like, things are just they're a bit tougher in day-to-day life, like, so I was just kind of like chatting to Simone, we were just chatting about like, how life is, and like, our structures and that sort of stuff, like, and like a big like advantage that like I love is like the fact that I can work from home and stuff, because Simone was saying like, do you think it's possibly like, maybe a lack of socialization with you? And like I was like, I get what you're saying, but like I love getting to work 4 days a week at home, because like I get to socialize so much then, because I don't have to commute home, or don't have to meet people. Like, I can just drive to Blanche and go and see my grandparents, or I can just drive to like, Luke and see one of my mates, or like I can go into town then, but I don't have to carry all my stuff around. Like, it's stuff like that. Like, I love the flexibility it gives me, so I feel like I have more of a social life because I work from home, because and as well, like, yourself as well, commuting, like sitting on buses, sitting on trains, or driving or cycling places, it takes it out of you, like, it's mentally draining,
definitely,
more than physically draining.
I think as well, like you're saying there, like, it's like the choice of social interactions you have, which is kind of nice. It's like and you get to socialize with the people you like. You know what I mean? It's not like where certain situations is where you've got to go into like an environment and like, oh, this is negative, or oh, people here are bringing me down, which like I experienced many times, especially recently. But I was starting to, it's nice that you get that comfortability and flexibility of being able to choose when you want to be around people. Because I'm definitely a person, like, I love my own space. I've always have. I'm obviously being a single child as well. But technically, you have half brothers and step brothers and step sisters. But like you know what I mean. You have that kind of relations where you like your own time to do your activities, whatever you like to do, play guitar, or for me, like, I like playing video games, watching movies and stuff like that. So I think that is also really nice. It's
nice to be able to like because this is, like, came up yesterday as well when I was chatting to Simone about it. Like, I love like the fact that I can clock off at 5. I'm off at 5, so it'll take Simone about an hour and a half to come home. And it's not that I don't want Simone here straight away, but it's nice to like clock off, stay, like go out and like let the dog out and just like have a bit of breathing room, and then like be able to cook, but like be able to cook by myself, because you know yourself sometimes when you're cooking.
Two people in the kitchen's the worst.
When you can have too many this isn't like, you know, like Simone is never on my back in the kitchen, but like, you know, sometimes you just want to like, when you feel rude when you're not talking to them, like, you know, so like I'd come in out and like chat to Simone and stuff, like, you know, but it's nice to have that headspace of all I want to do right now is cook, and that's that, like, you know, and then like by the time I'm finished cooking, Simone's usually walking in the door, so it's grand, then I can just give her dinner, and then like we kind of catch each other up in our days. But it's nice to also have that breathing room. It's something like I've like really been trying to like value over the last kind of 6 months. I'd say it's like giving myself breathing space and realizing like it's just as important to give myself time to not do anything as it is to, like, you know, be around people and be doing stuff. It's also just as important to, like, you know, give yourself a little bit of time to like sleep in on a Sunday, or like, you know, like have 1 or 2 evenings during the week where you're doing nothing, like, you know, like, because life's busy and you need that time to detox, like, you know.
You can tell this guy went to therapy or recently
went to
therapy. No, in a good way though. In a good way. It's funny though, because you think about the way you would have thought about things 2 or 3 years ago, and then it's funny as you're getting older, then you start to think about all these things. I always think it's so funny, like your thought processes of when you were like a teenager, like 18. Going to 21, and then now we're in like what it was like middle-age crisis kind of age, like 25 going up, you know what I mean? Like your responsibilities and like what you think is important is changing all the time, which for me it's something I'm trying to get accustomed to, like, because it can be overwhelming, like you were saying there, if you don't give yourself space and time to process things and gratitude things. And yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, last night like it was like, even like yesterday, like I got asked to the guys who were playing 5-a-side. So like I so we're recording this on Tuesday, so I rehearse every single Monday, and we just didn't rehearse yesterday because of the car crash, and my car's a bit fucked, and it also didn't work for one. It wasn't a great time for one of the other lads. I said, look lads, we'll just leave it. We'll be back in next week. So we're back in rehearsals next week. But so technically I had yesterday evening off, which is very rare for me to have a Monday off. And I got a text to say, do you want to come play a game of football? And I could have gone and done it very easy, but I kind of was like, I was proud of myself that I stopped myself and said, no, I'm gonna take this time to rest. Like, you know, I need the downtime to, even though I'm not doing, like, you know, this week is a comparatively quieter week, especially with the bank holiday and stuff, like, you know, it helps with that. But, you know, I was like, it was a step for myself to be like, okay, no, I need to actually allocate a bit more free time, especially like with going to the gym and stuff. Like, so we're like, I keep you know, booking myself in. I don't get home till like 11:30, 12, so I'm going to sleep late, and I still get up at 6 and go to the gym, you know. And like, I get up every morning and I'm just like, oh fuck, this is way too fucking groggy and sleepy and stuff, but power through.
And how are you getting to the gym now? Since
I took my car to a garage. Just after we record, I had to wrap up the podcast on Friday because I had to go to the garage. So I brought the car around to the garage, and he fixed it up enough that I can get myself around.
Okay.
Like, he was like, if you need to do your weekly shop, that's fine. You know, but he was like, don't go and do a long drive in this car. Like, you know, it probably won't. So, I should probably officially say on the podcast, Betsy is getting written off. I told Imran about this when it happened last week. So, but officially, Betsy will be off-road in the coming weeks. She's out there now. I drove her this morning. I drove to the gym this morning. I'll drive to football tomorrow probably, but
rest in peace,
Betsy.
Yeah,
she's going to be gone. I'm going to have to be getting a new car.
We'll have to do a little TikTok video for
a mass.
You know what I mean? A mass.
A virtual mass, yeah.
Hello.
I think, I honestly think Imran was more heartbroken than I was over. Like,
it was devastating.
The fact the car's getting written off. Like, I found it annoying. Because I'm like,
when you text me,
I'm going to have to go buy a car, like, you know, which is a pain in the whole process.
Such a pain in the whole. When you text me that, saying that she was wrote off, I literally, like, Nicola was beside me, and I was like, Nicola, I'm heartbroken. and she was like, it's not your car anymore. I was like, you don't understand. That was my first car. I was like, and I passed the torch. To Sean, and it's not even his fault. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can't even blame Sean because Sean did nothing wrong.
Yeah, it's gas because like I've like you said last week, I've been like driving the car longer than you have.
Yeah, so like, essentially, then it's your first car now. That's what I mean. Like we shared both our first car. That was the thing.
Like I like Betsy, and Betsy was like, I was very proud to call her my first car and stuff. Like but. Like the biggest thing for me was like I loved that connection that the car had. Like I loved that it was yours. I loved telling that story of like, oh yeah, it was one of my best mates' cars and I bought it off him, and then like going into the lore of the podcast and stuff. Like it was always a really good like icebreaker, and like it was a nice conversation to always have. Like you know. But,
even as well, like because we used to go to the like one thing. I think I've said this like 1,000 times in the podcast. And one thing me and Sean loved doing is we used to love going to the cinema together. I think we do at least 3 times a month, twice a month if we could. But we used to go eventually when I got my license. Me and Sean used to just drive to the centre, with Betsy in the car. So it was like it's just memories like that like you put some significant. Experience onto the car with us.
The big question is, should I take the Christmas CD out and put it in my next car?
No. Oh wait, yeah, yes. Okay. So I don't think we've said this on the podcast. When I got the car, there was a Christmas CD left in the car, and when I gave Sean the car, it was like the day before I was leaving because I needed the car up to that point. I pulled up the car anyway, but showing him all the little bits in the car, like there's the bonnet, this is how you do this, blah 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 blah. And I was like, oh, also this. So I pressed like the CD button, and then like a Christmas song just started playing. So now it's just like running kind of joke between me and Sean that there was like when Sean was going to pass on Betsy, which he won't be now, but when he was going to pass Betsy, the scrapyard, the Christmas CD will go on. So I think now the CD should go in your car, and that's how we should do it. And if you don't have like a CD port, then maybe just keep it in the car. Like,
I'm not going to be buying a car that's that old. I'm going to be. It'll be. Yeah, I've started looking. Man, like buying a car is such a pain in the hole. That's why it was so when you. It was crazy because when you offered Betsy to me, I was like, I thought about asking you, but I didn't know whether that was one really cheeky or really rude, like, or if it was like if you had already sold it and it would have been like a bit awkward, like getting turned down like that. But then you text me being like, "Do you want to buy it?" I was like, "Yeah." Happy days, brilliant, like, you know.
Yeah. It was just suited us at the time as well, because like you needed a car because you were very much into your driving lessons at that point.
I think I'd done 5 or 6 lessons by the time.
Yeah. So I was hoping then you'd get like the car and then get your test straight away, which obviously didn't happen because of the backlog of COVID and everything.
Just a little while.
Yeah.
Only a year.
Yes. Yeah, only a year. And then so now the process for you is you've got to go through all that shite looking on Dundale and contacting brokers, and it's just a long process. And then you have to go out and see the car, and then you mightn't like the car, and you have to bring someone who knows stuff about cars. This is kind of where I wish I was kind of more accustomed to, which I probably could teach myself to, but to be honest, I have no interest in cars. I like cars because they look cool, that kind of way. I'm one of them people.
I used to like never understand when I was younger this, but like, do you ever I think we're both in this position now of like we would both agree with the statement, but like when people used to say, I don't know a lot about cars, but they'd be a fully licensed driver years. And like when I was younger, I was like, how can you not know a lot about cars? Like you drive cars, you drive to work every day. I've seen you drive multiple times. Like how do you not know anything about cars? Like, and I'd be thinking this like towards my aunties or like older cousins or uncles and lots of carry on. Like I was like, how do you not know what about drive? And then you're like, okay, right, yeah, grant. You don't really know about cars to drive, other than if it's a manual car, how to work the gear stick.
You know how to work the gears, you're good. Yeah, literally like a go-kart.
I'm considering getting an automatic because I obviously have my manual license now. Like so I wouldn't close the door to an automatic because Carla got one recently, and Carla's like, it's like driving a go-kart. It's fucking class. Like,
every person. I'm the exact same. Dari got one as well. And I actually drove one. I got back because he wanted me to have to spin in the car, and I have to say it's like driving a go-kart. It's class. Yeah. I think that is the way forward now. I think we're going to start seeing a lot less manual cars on the road, and there'll be a lot more automatics. And obviously, electrics are probably the way that the world is going. But I'd say that we're about 50 years far away from that now.
It probably won't be like this car that I buy, like, but the next one probably. I would like to at least get a hybrid or get some form of electric car. But like that would be like I'm gonna spend like the next car I buy, I'm not gonna be spending like a lot of money on. Like I'll spend whatever the insurance give me back, and maybe like 500 quid more if I see a model that I like and a color that I like. I'm like, okay, that's the car that I want.
Yeah. You know, magenta.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the Nissan Qashqai. That's kind of
Nissan Qashqai has solid cars. Yeah.
Yeah, because like the one thing I didn't like about Betsy, and this isn't just like a width thing with me. This isn't just me being a fat bastard. This is like just a height thing. Like Betsy was really low to the ground, so often I would whack my head off the top of the car trying to get into the car.
You know? Perfect for me because I'm a midget. So yeah,
well,
yeah.
Just because I'm on the taller end, it just like it was a bit of a pain sometimes getting or like you know, like some days if you're stiff, like after playing football and stuff.
Football.
And I need one thing I did love about it though, and something I would like in any other car I ever get now is like the hatchback, because moving all the stuff from Blanche over to here and like having all the
big size here, very big bill.
Need it. So that's why I'm looking at the Qashqais, because they're taller and they've got the bigger boots, but they're also not like $5,000. Like I've seen a couple of them going for like $2,000 to $3,000. Like, you know, so I'm like, right, okay, that's probably where my market's at right now. You know.
It's funny, like, we know nothing about cars, but you know, like, different brands of cars that, like, your uncle or your dad has said to you, and you're like, oh, you know, that's a standard good car. Like, the amount of times I've heard only good things about Toyota Qashqai.
Yeah, but like even at that as well, like it's like when you're on the road, like you're because you're parked up in traffic, so you're parked up behind the Toyota Yaris, you're parked up behind a Ford Focus, you're parked up behind all these
Fiat Puntos and
like because like and it's like, oh, how do you know the name of them? It's like it's literally on the back of every car, and obviously there are some cars, like, to be fair, like Betsy is a Peugeot 207. I'd say every day I go out, I see at least 2 or 3 of them. Like, that's such a common car. You know, like even this morning driving back from the gym, I saw Betsy in the exact same color in the 2 years previous. It was no 06. Betsy's no 8.
She's back alive.
Yeah. Do you want to swap?
Yeah, I want to swap the cars. Just get your Sean Finn sticker and stick on the back of the car.
Yeah.
But been a bit jazzle.
Yeah, I tell you, last night, over the weekend, a film that I kind of just was like, oh, I want to watch this is Happy Gilmore 2.
Oh, that's so weird you said that. Me and Nicola just watched the first one the other night. No, I've seen it years ago. Now, that was Nicola's first time watching it.
We were in the exact same situation last night.
No way.
Yeah, wait, literally last night.
So you watched Happy Gilmore too?
I have seen Happy Gilmore years ago, and so I'm still waiting to see the second one. But Simone hadn't seen it.
Okay.
So we were like, we'll watch the first one, and then we'll watch the second one. But like, sorry again, that was just coincidence.
Okay, have you watched the second one though?
Not yet. No.
Okay. So we'll watch it tonight as well. So then when we do the next recording, we have something to talk about. Yeah, cool. I actually forgot how funny it was. It's actually one of Adam Sandler's better movies. Like, a lot of his movies are the exact same. No offense, Adam Sandler, if you're definitely not listening to this podcast. 2 fellas in Dublin. But I have to say, one thing about Adam Sandler is he has class dress sense. He doesn't give a shit, and he literally just picks out random items of clothing from his wardrobe and puts it on, and then he's good to go.
I aspire to dress like Adam Sandler. I love his riz. Like, honestly, when I'm getting dressed in the morning, I'm not thinking of Adam Sandler, but like, I get dressed and I look at myself and go, I could see Adam Sandler wearing this. Like, it's usually a pair of shorts, my Crocs, or like some pair of like runners.
Yeah,
you know, like they're not Vans or like Air Max, like, no.
And it's never cut or coordinated. It's just random.
No, it's whatever. It's whatever was on top of the dry wash pile. That's exactly what it is. Like, you know, but I've always really liked Adam Sandler. Like, when I was younger, like I had a bit of a weird, like, you know, when I had like my weird Jedward phase when I was like 12.
Yeah,
I had a weird Adam Sandler phase from like 10 to 12. Like, you know, just before my Jedward phase, I had an Adam Sandler phase. Like, I've seen. It's quite embarrassing how many I've seen probably 90% of Adam Sandler's films that he's ever made. Like, I used to love him back in the day.
I'm probably with you in that. Like, to me, he was definitely one of the biggest comedy actors for our generation growing up. Definitely around that era. There's one I really like, and I cannot think of the name of it, but he's like a dad of a kid.
Big Daddy.
probably is Big Daddy. It's the one. Yeah, I think it is Big Daddy, and I don't know if it's Cole Sprouse is like the son,
Colin Dillon Sprouse played.
Yeah. So great film. Just a nice little kids funny film. There's a lot of them like movies that he's done when we were kids that I like still stick with me today, or like I'll see scenes in them and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that movie.
Do you know The Wedding Singer is a class film. Don't care what anyone says. The Wedding Singer is funny as fuck.
And you know what? It's actually one of his only serious movies done. Uncut Gems is a class movie. Don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah, not like Uncut Gems. Like So he shouldn't. I would have loved him to have won an Oscar for it. I don't know if he got nominated. I have a feeling he got nominated. I have a feeling he got nominated for an Oscar that year because I know he won the Golden Globe that year for that performance.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he may have been nominated for an Oscar. But he was never going to win that year because that was the year. It was 2019 Oscar season, so it was the year Joaquin Phoenix won for Joker. Bryan Cranston was in there as well. Andrew Garfield was in there for Tick Tick Boom, which I was heartbroken for Andrew that he was in the same category as Phoenix for Joker, because the second you saw Joker, you knew Phoenix was winning the Oscar. Like there was no competition. But that was such a great year for Best Lead Actor. And because I would have loved Brian to win one as well, just because I actually don't actually think
Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen the film that he was in, but just because it's Brian, like I'd like Brian to win Best Actor Nod one day, just because I love Brian. But if you've not seen Uncle Gems, lads, it's like a 2-hour anxiety attack in the best way possible. It's so good.
And Adam Sandler plays a jeweler, a very good jeweler, if I must say.
Another great film, I think. I don't know if you've watched this. Is Punch Drunk Love.
Don't think I've seen that.
It's directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. I think it's on Netflix again. It's one of those. He's the director. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's one of those films that's like on and off Netflix every few months. But it's such a great. Most Paul Thomas Anderson films are great anyway. But Punch Drunk Love is I just love it. It's got a really special place in my heart. Adam Sandler is incredible in it. It was the first time he went into a serious role. Because he usually writes and produces his own films, but that was that and Uncut Gems are one of the few kind of serious roles that he's taken on.
Yeah. He done another movie which I actually watched. It's very weird. It's like him on a spider in space. Came out last year. It's on Netflix. I can't think of the name. Watch it if you've got I think the movie's only an hour and 20 minutes long. Watch it if you have a bit of time. It's very weird. It's a weird concept that only would fit Adam Sandler. You know that kind of way?
Yeah. I've not seen much of his stuff since Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill was probably the last thing I properly tuned into. And I've seen obviously Uncle Gems of 2019. But his own written stuff he's done a murder mystery film or two with Jennifer Anderson. I've seen clips of it, but it just looks. I'm not a big fan of murder mystery films in general.
Yeah, me
so
neither,
I didn't tune in. So
let us know what your favorite Adam Sandler films are, people that are listening.
Shout out to the GOAT, the Sandman.
Sandman. This is probably not a good segue again. This is what I'm saying. I should have done the segue earlier on when we start. Why didn't we start the conversation there to now?
Man, that would have made far too much sense now. Come on.
Yeah. Let's just do what I always do.
We cannot be giving off the illusion. We cannot be giving off the illusion that we know what we're doing here.
I think now it doesn't feel right unless I just say the segment. So next segment. So this week for the topic, I chose to talk about the concept of growing out of old friendships. And it's something that's been on my mind, I'd say, the past 2 months now. And it's something that's I've been trying to relate to. I think I did mention it in 3 or 4 podcasts ago about how hard it is to keep friendships going living abroad. Because a lot of the reliance is especially on you to make the contact. So I want to hear first kind of from what Sean's perspective is living at home and trying to keep contact with, for example, me or old friends he went to school with. So that's kind of where we're starting here.
Yeah, it's crazy because I think I might have alluded to this before, but with you, because you're in a different country, it feels a lot more significant like, with like trying to keep up with us, especially because we were such close mates when you left, like, so I think there's like a bit more of a lenience in my head to be like, oh, I need to check in with more. I just need to, like, like obviously we've this, and this is part of the reason we started the podcast as well, so we had something to do together, like, every week. So but even before that, like, it because like there's that distance, or because there's the whole like, oh, you're away, you're in a different country, you're in a different time zone and all this sort of stuff, like, like that kind of puts an emphasis on your brain to kind of check in and keep up. Whereas like friends that like we went to school with and stuff, like there's lads that I would consider friends, but I actually haven't spoken to them in nearly a year, like, and it's not because you fall out, it's just because life gets busy, or like, you try and ring them, they can't pick up, and then they try and ring you back. And like I often find that like with friends like that, who like I was like really close to a couple of years ago, whenever you do try and catch up, it'll be a week or two of you guys, someone will ring someone, and it's a week of each of you guys ring each other in your spare time until you finally catch each other, like,
Yeah.
Like, sure, we like before we started recording the podcast, like we spent like 15 minutes just going through our diaries, seeing where we can squeeze in recordings for episodes, like, whereas like you wouldn't do that just for like a casual FaceTime or just a chat or like that, because like we obviously need to structure this a bit more than most FaceTime chats for most people, like, but
yeah,
it's really like it is really tough. And like I said, like I think more of an emphasis gets placed on it for the likes of yourself, or I've got like one or two other friends as well that like, even one of them who lives on me down in Cork, like, she used to live in Dunshaughlin, and now she lives in Cork, like, so she's not in a different time zone. Like I could go and, well, I can't drive to her now, but a week ago I could have driven down to her, like, but because like they're not in your, you don't bump into them on the road anymore, or you don't like randomly see them in public, like, because they're out, they're just a bit further away, like, it just goes to the back of your mind. It's something that, like, I find myself constantly going, I must check in, I must do that, I must, but like, it takes like 2 or 3 of those to actually act and go, right now I'm ringing this person now, like,
Yeah, I do think life gets in the way in situations like that as well, but it is also the thing that you're trying to keep pushing it out to like the last thing to do. Like, I've definitely been a person that's done that as well, like being like, oh, I should text this person, or I should bring this person, and then I just like forget about it, and I'll come back to it again and be like, oh, I should do that, I should text them again and stuff like that. Another thing as well, like, it's like this preconception I'm having at the moment. It's like, obviously I've been away from Ireland for a bit now. Like, I know I did come back there about, I think it was probably earlier in the year. I think it was March. I think was the last time I've been back. I have this like preconception now that I'll meet people that I have been good friends with for years, and I'll like struggle to talk to them about things. Like, maybe it's just that we've maybe grown out of the same interests, or it could also be the same thing where we do meet up and the conversation is flowing like normal. So I don't know. I don't know if that's just me downplaying how I'm gonna have situations with people, because like there's definitely people that I was friends with in school that I haven't seen in a couple of years, and I've actually become really good friends with a guy I used to work with in TGIs, and we've recently got back talking on WhatsApp because I found his number. So we've been talking like recently for, I'd say, about like 3 weeks now through text message, and we've been trying to organise a phone call, but we've just both been busy. But it'd be interesting to see, because we actually haven't spoken in about 4 years. So it's just that like weird conception in your brain that you've got, like, you don't know how to react or how the conversation will go.
Yeah,
that kind of way.
I kind of had a bit of an experience on this recently, where like I met up with a friend who I had sort of kind of fallen out with a little bit, and we met up again. And this wasn't the first time we'd met up since we'd gotten back talking, like, but like, the first time you're kind of like catching up on like the kind of couple of years that you didn't like. So I hadn't spoken to this person probably about 3 or 4 years, and the first 1 or 2 times you guys are talking and you meet up, like, it's a lot of catch up, like it's a lot of like, oh, and this happened and that happened, and I finished that thing, or I started something else, or I'm not this anymore. And like the first 1 or 2 meetups were nice and lovely, but then on the most recent one, I just felt a little. Not like everything was fine, like, like nothing bad. There wasn't like an awkward conversation had or anything like that, but I felt like you could feel the weight of how long we had not spoken for, because like, you know, I had become a very different person in that time, and I think they had become a very different person in that time as well. Like, to what is like the version of them that's in my mind is not that person that's sitting in front of me anymore. I think it was the same vice versa. Like, you know, again, like, nothing, there wasn't like bad energy or bad blood, like, you know, but it was just a vibe that I kind of felt of, like, I think I'm thinking of the person who I was friends with 4 years ago, and that's not who's sitting in front of me right now. You know, so there's like a lot of like, you know, you can kind of brush through the highlights of catching up and stuff, like, you know, but like 4 years is a long time for like a person's development, and like, you know, like, because I know myself, like, I'm a totally different person to who I was 4 years ago, like, you know, and like in terms of like how I look at things, how I approach things, and that sort of stuff, like, you know, so I did feel the way that, but then I've had the opposite effect where like I've not spoken to somebody for a year or two, from not falling out, just from like, you know, distance, and just from like, you know, not catching up. Like I have a friend who lives over in London, and like I only probably see him every 2 years, but then whenever we're back together, we just kind of pick up where we left off, like, you know.
Yeah, it's funny because like it's different interactions you have with different friends. Are you have friendships that are in different situations as well. Like I used to always say this growing up. Like I had friends that were just drinking friends that I'd only see like at the pub, going out on a night out, or like seeing them in them situations. But I'd never had spent time with them when it was just like one on one. And then you've also got like friends who you've like went to school with that you've known grown up your whole life. You probably spent a lot of time with them when you were a kid, and then like you've kind of got like friendships now where I would use you for example, where we kind of have been friends for about 10 years, kind of not close, and then I'd say like the last 3 to 4 years been probably up to being best mates. You know, that kind of way of looking at things. Like, yeah, so it's sure. But it's like you were saying there. I think a lot of people haven't kind of been at the same level of maturity in themselves in terms of like growth wise, like not in a way of like comparing, but sometimes you think maybe you've outgrown this person or this person has outgrown you, you know, in terms of friendships and connections. And that's not a bad thing either. Like, I'm not saying that I've experienced that, but these are just thoughts that have been going through my head because I live so far away from my friends and I don't get to have the same one-on-one conversation like we would, because we have this podcast together and we have our own lives and the partners that we talk about stuff as well. So I think it's interesting to look at how people change within like a course period, and it is something I'm definitely going to probably analyze and think about when I do go home again and, you know, meet up with people that I haven't spoken to in a while. Is it the same? Is the connection the same? Is the like you were saying there, I don't know if it's a vibe or it's just the energy is matching, but I do definitely feel it. Like with some people I talk to, the conversation can be a bit how do I say it, like bland. I don't know, that's probably a bad way of saying it, but
does the thought of doing that make you anxious at all?
Yeah, definitely. I think, but I don't think it's anxious to the point where I'll start stressing about it. I think it's more anxious where I'm nervous to see how the relationship has changed within the last 2 to 3 years. Because I have been away technically 2 years, but I've only been settled about 8 to 9 months. So it's, and obviously within them 2 years, I've definitely done a lot of growing and changing and starting to think about what's important, what values I don't think are important anymore in my life that I probably would have previously had, and trying to see now where the connections I can keep while being away for the next 4 to 5 years. I don't know how long particularly that I'm going to be here, so it's, for me now, I think it's more about putting an effort with people I know deserve my energy, and I hope vice versa it's the same. I think that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
it's like, I think there is one thing you like kind of said there is like, you know, you kind of like grow into different people as well over time. Like, you know, when you're not seeing people, and I think we've both seen examples of that where, like, you know, like I know I know I have a friend who like I love to bits, and you know, I love them, and like if they called me now and said I need help with something, like, you know, I'd be straight over to them in Betsy with her bumper falling off, like, you know. But you know, at the same time as well, like when you're kind of like one-on-one with them as well, you can tell that, like, you know, yous have kind of not maybe like gone down a little. Probably the best way to describe it is like yous have gone down different paths of, like, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, like, isn't exactly choice as well. Some of that can just be very circumstantial, like, you know. So I feel like that's why me and you have kind of naturally, as we've like come out of school, gotten closer and closer, and that's why we are where we are now. Is because we had very similar upbringings in terms of, like, you know, our childhoods and stuff, like, you know, like it's stuff that, like, we won't really get into on the podcast, like, you know, because it's a bit deep. But like I think, like, because of those circumstances, we've kind of like found a comfort in the familiarity, like, you know, whereas, like, you know, maybe folks who didn't have that just go on a slightly different path, and so we're now at a place in our life where, like, I would consider the two of us to be very independent, very kind of is self-sufficient and responsible, and like quite ambitious and stuff as well. Like, you know, to a higher degree, like, you know, than some other people that I know that are our age, like, you know. And that's not aimed at that one friend. Like, this is like across the board. Like, I think, like, it's something we've always said of each other, that the two of us kind of were always a bit more mature like when we were like 18, 19 than some of the other people
definitely
our age, like, you know. But that can, like, lead you on different paths, like, to the point now where, like, both of us have houses, and, well, I have a house and you've your apartment, and we're our partners and stuff. Whereas, like, we've got friends who maybe, like, you know, are still living at home, which is, like, not a dig at all, by the way. I'm not digging at people still living at home with their parents.
We know how hard it is, yeah.
We both know how hard it is, and we both know how lucky we each are to be in the situations that we are in.
Definitely.
That's not a dig at all, but, like, you know, that does open different doors and different avenues in terms of the life experiences that you can and can't have, like, you know. And there was a bit more, I feel like for us there was a bit more of an urgency to leave our kind of childhood homes and stuff, and, like, you know, go out and like, you know, for in your case going to see the world, or in my case, like, you know, just going out and being with Simone and, like, you know, kind of building a home together, like, you know.
Definitely. I think settlement is definitely something I'm probably most happy about. It's kind of having now being able to grow in a place where I can call a home, which I probably wouldn't have experienced a lot growing up. You could probably say the same as well in your situations growing up as well. So I think it is. I think people do realize that maturity development level at a different stage, and if some people, it mightn't happen until they're in their late 30s, or, you know, different situations that they might have at home, either that be finances or jobs or life experience or partners, whatever. So I think I do respect people in terms of how they are growing at their own stage, but I feel like where I'm at now, it is very possible for me to grow out of some friendships that I would have had at home unless I keep the contact going. And I don't know if that's just me putting too much pressure on myself to keep the friendship going, or is it just that life trying to tell me just to let the friendship flutter out. And that's kind of the complexity I'm kind of in at the moment with certain friendships, where I don't know whether it's on me to keep it going, or is life trying to tell me, you know, you should let this person go naturally, and there's no bad blood, it's just the way life is, and, you know, people get busy and stuff like that. So
I think it's important to understand as well, just because you don't speak to someone on, like, a daily, weekly, monthly basis doesn't mean you're not friends with them. Like,
no, that's not what I'm saying.
It's because the same can be said for family. Like, there's members of my family that I haven't spoken to in like 2 or 3 months, not because I've fallen out with them, not because we're arguing, just because life is busy, man. Like, it's like,
yeah,
it's one thing that I'm, like, grateful, I think our generation gets very well, is that life just gets really, really busy. Like, you know, having a full-time job and having, like, you know, good creative hobbies and stuff to be able to kind of relieve any kind of stress that you need and stuff, like, you know, because I think, like, you know, our generation really does prioritize having those kind of outlets for these things, like playing football, like, for me, like, being in the band and stuff, and, like, just the list goes on and on, like, you know. For some people as well, that's going out and going dancing and going to a nightclub and doing whatever, like, you know. So I think there's, like, a really healthy balance of, like, our generation understanding that people need that outlet, and that takes up time in your week, and you only have so many hours in a week, and you also have to prioritize your responsibilities, like, you know, ours mainly being to our partners and to our families and to our jobs and stuff, like, you know, where, you know, like, I think people get across the board, like, if you say, oh, I'm sorry, it's been a couple of weeks or a couple of months since we've last been in touch. Just life has been busy, and I think like most people don't just have like one friend that's being singled out by it as well. Like I think when you're like 17, 18, 19, it's very easy to think, oh my god, they're just not talking to me and everybody else is keeping. But it's honestly, it's normally never the case. If it's one person, there's probably like 5 people that they want to call, they want to catch up with, or whatever. It's just they haven't at the time. They can't do all 5 at once. They can't often, like I often find sometimes when I'm thinking of like my friends who I haven't spoken to or talked to in a while, it's like, right, okay, who have I not spoken to in the longest time? Like, that's who I should call first, like, and then keep going back to like, because like as much as you maybe want to speak to somebody else, like on that day, it's like, no, but you really should check in with your other friend, like, the one you haven't seen the longest.
There's a lot of complexities when it comes to friendships like that. I try not to laugh because you said like the 24 hours thing, and then Molly May just came into my head where like she was saying like everyone has to say 24 hours where I hop on my private jet. Which I actually do feel like she was hard done by in that situation, because I don't think she actually meant to say the way she did it. But it just came out so bad. But
it's just like from the privileged position, like she her 24 hours don't look the same as other people's 24 hours, and likewise, like my 24 hours don't look the same as yours, and yours still doesn't look the same.
No. I think that's what she was trying to say, but the way she came across was so bad.
The principle of what she's saying isn't wrong, and I do think it's a good like mindset to have of like, every day's a fresh day. You can go attack the day. You've got so many hours to this, but the way she said it, and coming from the position she's in, where she's coming from a very well-off background, where she doesn't have to struggle for as much as other people. That's where it was kind of getting a bit like, Molly, pipe down. Don't know who you are, but pipe down.
Sorry, Molly.
Cuteness.
I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah, been a nice chat, been interesting.
A nice little friendly chat with your friend.
A lot less dramatic compared to last week. Last week was kind of all go and high intensity, but this is just a nice chillax kind of vibe, like, so I enjoyed
After last week, it was a very wild. Poor Ozzy and poor Hulk.
Yeah, what a week, man.
Not the Incredible Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, what a week.
Yeah.
Also, I just before we wrap up, did you see Fantastic Four? Yeah.
No, I should be going to see it sometime the next week or so. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it on Friday.
What did you think?
It's grand. I think
okay.
It's so, without spoiling anything, obviously, for yourself or the podcast listeners, it's like it's good. It's no, I thought Superman was better. I liked Superman a bit more. I think I've seen a lot of people online be like, "Oh my god, this is brilliant! Like, this is like the best thing they've done since Spider-Man." Which isn't a very high bar. I would say it possibly is the best thing they've done since Spider-Man, but it's not like, oh my god, it's like on the same levels. Like, it's fine. I think it's getting a little bit overhyped. I think there's a better version of that movie out there. I think a director's cut or an extended edition of that film would be much better. Okay. I think they try to shorten the runtime a little bit too much, because there's a lot of like, they plant a few seeds that don't really. It's not that they don't get resolved, but they get resolved a bit too quickly, or it's like oh, it's alluding to it will get resolved, but
we'll get around to it. Yeah.
Like adding an extra 20 minutes to the runtime and putting those scenes in there would make it would turn it from, like, in my head what's like a 6.5 out of 10 to like an 8 or 9 out of 10, just by adding a bit more context to some things, like,
Okay, yeah. I have a lot to catch up on Marvel at the moment. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very behind.
I didn't watch that Ironheart thing. It looks dreadful.
I'm gonna watch it.
I just gave up on it. I was like, you know what? This is the first thing of Marvel that I'm just gonna say it's not for me.
The Marvel fall off is real, people. It's real. Yeah. Yes.
Right, okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to The Distance Dilemma. My name is Sean. I'm in Dublin, Ireland. This is Imran. He's in Thun, Switzerland. This is our long distance friendship podcast. That was episode number 28. Please do tune into future episodes. We drop an episode every Monday at 6 a.m. GMT, 7 a.m. Central European Time. I'm going to hand you over to Imran to say his goodbyes.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Deli Alley wave.
Short and sweet. Thanks very much for tuning in, guys, and we will see you again next week.